Please stop. Stop moving. Stop.
Stop that, kid, please. S-T-O-P. Stop. You're rocking the forest.
Alright, Cryptids, what is going on? It is me, Mississippi Gonzo Grunge, aka Breadcorn, and today we are going to be looking at the Truffade Collection. Starting with the Truffade adder, and we will also include the Z-Type and the other Truffades that got added. Because this is the Bugatti brand, for the most part, excuse me. This particular one is based off the Veyron, which came out the year this game was released. You know, funny enough, everybody wanted this back in online, like way back in the PS3 and the Xbox 360 days. This was the car that you wanted. And this is how mine used to look, you know, before I sold it and got the Zentorno. But before I did that, I glitched a whole bunch of money in. It was also like my go-to glitch car. So I kept it up until I sold it. And then I just kept the Zentorno after that because I was winning everything with it. And the Zentorno was beating out the adder. So, you know, kind of a little fun fact. We started calling the Zentorno the adder killer for the most part. So, that's just how it is. Now, this thing will actually climb anything you throw at it. You know, this adder will. But hey, if you remember those days of running from, you know, chromed out adders with those iced out high-end rims on it, you're old enough to probably remember me when I first reviewed this car. That was one of the scariest vehicles in online. If you saw that and a sticky bomb was being held out the window, you better run. I will say this thing does not like deep water whatsoever. So I'm going to shoot it across. You know, I almost like to have Roscoe'd it, but still. But yeah, this one will absolutely crawl over anything you throw at it. But I actually used one for transportation, and you would catch a little bit of heat. Everybody would come shoot at you. And this was back whenever the hardest levels were like 500, and then the level 8000s started showing up. But yeah, beware of the guy that he had the garage full of chromed out adders. That was a troll. That was a griefer. That was the OG griefer of the day. Yeah, I remember them days. I got PTSD flashbacks thinking about that time I got chased by one. And I had my foot to the floor, but I came to the Ratton Canyon to escape. And it was funny because I was screaming for Slade the entire time, and Slade was screaming, "Hold on, cat! I'm coming!" So Slade had to cut him off at the pass, or else we both would be relatively screwed. But you know, such as it is, it's the way life works. And as you see, it gets over the wall of doom just fine. But yes, I am going to include every Truffade that's in the game in this particular upload. So it will be this one, the Z-Type, and the, you know, the Thrax and the Nero and the Nero Custom. Neo. I want to say it's either Nero. Yeah, it is Nero now that I think about it. Which I actually have one online that's fully modded out. It was like my first supercar coming back. It's like Rockstar apparently had heard I had returned to online, or I had returned to YouTube, and they said, "Okay, we're going to give you this Truffade Nero because we absolutely miss your content," or one would hope. Whew, that was a close one. But yeah, this one is also rear-wheel drive. To my knowledge, it is. But yeah, this is the other thing, too. Steering. You know, do learn braking. You know, it had halfway decent brakes, but, you know, if you knew how to brake and when to brake, this thing would get around corners quick. But whenever the Zentorno came out, I decided, you know what, I'm going to do one last money glitch with the Truffade before I sell all of them off. So I did my standard. You know, we did the money glitch back in the day, which that was easy enough. You know, if you could do a money glitch, you could have anything in the game. But there was those DNS codes, so I ended up getting like $2 billion off of a bounty. And then at that point, I bought everything. That was on the old PSN account, which I don't have access to anymore, strangely enough. I might have to contact Sony and get back with it. Does that mean I will get GTA on the PS5? No. Absolutely not. Even though I had around $1 billion in that account. Some of y'all asking, how'd you get $1 billion? Money glitches, but that's beside the point. But yeah, the Adder itself is just a classic car that you just buy out of nostalgia. Will it win you races this day and age? No, you got vehicles out there that they will blow the doors off of the old Adder. You know, when the Zentorno came out, it was blowing the doors off the Adder. Now we're at the point where the Zentorno can still keep up with the best, but it has a little bit of difficulty. And if you don't know how to drive a Zentorno, well, you better learn how. Zentorno is one of those good all-around cars that you still, you know, play around with, which I need to get one for online. But other than that, I will now be jumping into the next. Thank you. Thank you for that, you stupid deer, but that's beside the point. So, I will now be jumping into the next Truffade vehicle, which starts now. So here I am with the Truffade Z-Type, which, you know, it's one of the more expensive cars in game. But I don't think you can get these anymore. But we all know it is based off of the Bugatti made in the 30s, known as a Type 57 SC Atlantic. And it is a very rare car. You know, even by today's standards, it is super rare because they only made 4 of these cars. Well, that's an IRL. In the game's canon, you know, the Z-Type only had 10 made. And that's if you played through story mode. But people don't do story mode anymore like I do, so yeah. Which I'm probably going to do a Let's Play of the story modes, you know, before 6 comes out. You know, I hope to get a second monitor so that way I can monitor any weird crap that's popping off. So, yeah. That's how it goes. But yeah, this is actually my first time ever taking one of these off-road. You know, I should have taken one of these off-road back when I first started doing the off-road review years ago. So, yeah. This is another vehicle you just don't see it online anymore. And to see one, it's like an oddity, but, you know, that's kind of, you know, it's a rarity to see one of these in online anymore, but still. You know, that's the whole point. You know, much like real life, these cars are ultra rare. But I do know this car absolutely hates deep water, so we're just going to jump it across. Let's not Roscoe P. Coltrane a very expensive Bugatti. But this one I'm actually going to take back to my garage in game. Well, in story mode. So there's that. But yeah, I remember this is how... If you saw one of these in gold, you better run. Because guys that drove these in, you know, in online were scary. I would say they were on the level of the Adder. You know, the chromed out Adder. The scariest thing in online, the chromed out Adder and a completely gold Z-Type. So, you know, this was one, you know, God forbid it was, you know, if it was gold and chrome, that was also scary. You know, this was just one of these cars that you just ran from, and the guys that drove them could drive them. Trust me, I have been down Ratton Canyon with one of these, with a Z-Type, you know, biting the back bumper. I don't know why I'm sounding like Porky Pig. That's all, folks. That sounded like Speedy Gonzales. But let's not get into that. Huh, finally I made it over the wall of doom. I don't know who's online or who's not. I don't particularly care at this point. Yeah, such as it is. So, that's just what we have to deal with. You know, this was actually one of the more scariest cars. You know, it was a very scary car back in the PS3 and the PS3 and the Xbox 360 days. You know, this was one of these cars you just had to, you ran from it. And God forbid if you got in a race with one, you better have a car that could keep up with it. You know, I did have the Monroe. So I know the Monroe could keep up with this. You know, it was the Z-Type and the Monroe that were the fastest sports classics of the day. But now we got other vehicles too, which, you know, that reminds me. There's that one that one Pagasi car that looks like the Diablo that I want, because, you know, I'm a fan of the old school Lamborghini Diablo. You know, if I ever won the lottery, I would actually buy a Lamborghini Diablo, because that's like my favorite Lamborghini ever made. But still. But in terms of, you know, taking this thing on dirt, dirt seems to be this car's major enemy. I mean, you can might as well forget it. This car was going to... for some reason, the suspension would get stiff and lock up on the dirt. So it would just be, you know, kind of an ass-tier thing to handle. But I will say this. Those guys that would be biting my back bumper in one of these when I would take them down Ratton Canyon, they were not to be trifled with. And some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Those old Z-type griefers, oh, they were ruthless. Them, and if they had an adder, you might as well forget it. They were really going to mess with you. That's why I got that Black Zentorno back on the PS3. It's like, yeah, you're going to have fun catching me in this. New car came out, I better learn how to control it. But that was back whenever they would let you test stuff out in story mode. Like, oh, here, we're going to give you this car to test out in story mode. You know, it's free, so, you know, just go to your garage and click the button. But, you know, that's beside the point. But, yeah, this particular car right here, it handles the roads very well. But in terms of dirt, that suspension will lock up, and you might as well forget it. You know, you might as well forget it taking this thing on dirt, because, you know, the suspension was going to fight with you. But, you know, them Z-type boys back in the day, you might as well forget it. They were going to chase you down in one of these, and they were going to get you. They throw them sticky bombs at you, but, you know, that's beside the point. So, you know, I'm just going to go ahead and jump into the next Truffade, so that way we can get on with this review. So here we have the Nero, you know, the standard Truffade Nero. This one I actually ended up getting from the wheel spin at the casino a while back, like back when I first started playing the game again. And I'm like, you know what, I'm going to hop in GTA Online, because it's been years since I've ever played in an online game. So I hopped in one, and, you know, first night back, I ended up striking it rich and getting lucky, and, you know, I ended up getting the Nero, because it was on the podium. The Thrax is the one that I really wanted back when that one first came out, but, you know, such as it is. You know, it was just kind of weird. Okay, then, not really sure. Okay, that was just something pinging off. That was notifications and all that sort of nonsense. It got my attention. I apologize. Like I said, I am talking low because I am kind of under the weather at the moment, but I still wanted to get these videos out to you. Like I said, in a few other collections that I have these videos recorded, you will hear this. But, you know, I don't know why. I don't know why OBS decided it didn't want to record the audio or the video, which, you know, sucks as it is, but the footage is perfect. And plus that, I can't really go back and make this again, because I already upgraded the Nero to the custom one, which that will be the next one up, and, you know, the Thrax will be the definite last one, because I've already got all the other Truffade vehicles recorded, such as the Z-Type and the Adder, which, if you remember those chrome adders from back in the day, the adder griefers were the scariest things in online. You know, you knew you ran into somebody that they took that game way too seriously, or they had a friend that was a modder, and they just had the high-end apartment with 10 adders in the garage, all of them chromed out with the iced out high-end rims on it. Those you had to avoid. I had an adder, it was black, matte black, and then whenever I got the Zentorno, because it was beating the adder left and right, you know, there it went. But, you know, still, this one, compared to some of the other supercars we got, this one is more on the tame end of the spectrum, as it is quick, but it's not that quick. You know, it's not going to compare to some of the more higher end, the more higher up versions of this car. Well, of the supercars that I mean. Because now they got some supercars in this game that they're beating the pants off the Truffade, off the Truffade class of cars. You know what I mean. But yeah. So I just put standard off-road tires on this because I already had it, you know, customed out. But it already came like this. That's the one thing you gotta like about podium vehicles, is that they already come with liveries or some special paint job. I like the paint job on this. I call this one cranberry. That's what it looks like. It looks like a cranberry. Which, by the way, cranberries, delicious. I need to get some cranberry juice. Hell, I just need to go get some juice in general. I don't have any. I need some. Cranberry juice, orange juice, apple juice. But, that's besides my shopping habits. I gotta go shopping anyway. Well, grocery shopping. I need juice, pancakes. I use Kodiak, but so, not a paid sponsorship, but you get the point. Customization wise, I like it. I also like that little factor, the little spoiler detail is that when you slow down, it goes, the spoiler doesn't deploy, but when you start picking up speed, that spoiler comes out. That's something new that I've seen with a lot of supercars as of late. But we all know all Truffade vehicles in this game are based off of a Bugatti of some kind. I'm not sure which one this is based off of. I think this might be an updated version. Kind of looks like an updated adder, but, such as it is. But we will now jump into the Benny's custom version of this vehicle, which, mind you, I lost no money on. So, let's jump right into it. So here I am with the Nero Custom as a part of the Truffade, the Truffade Off-Road Review Collection. As we all know, this is just the Nero, but in a custom race car form. Which, I can actually prove that. See? Not a half bad. I like the attention to detail. Nice inside. But anyway. Now then, like I said, this is my old Nero that I had ever since I came back to GTA Online. And by that, I mean, I won it at the casino podium when it came up. So, that's how I got it. Basically for free, and it is relatively cheap to customize. Especially if you do it through the Benny section, then you really don't have to worry about any sort of other nonsense. But yeah. It handles slightly better than the Nero itself. Because, I mean, it is supposed to be the race car variant. So it is supposed to, just book it around corners. But, such as it is. Do I really care for Bugattis? I mean, they're a nice car. If I had the money, would I get one? No. Why? Upkeep. That's the one problem. Upkeep. But, if you want to go out and, do what you need to do to own one of these cars, then be my guest. Me? Nah, I'm going to keep it old school. You're going to see me be cruising around in an old pickup truck from the 70s. It's like, it's still running. It will get me from point A to point B, and I don't care. And even then, I wouldn't go crazy on a build like that. It's like, no, we're keeping it relatively mild. But, some people, they just want to go crazy with those builds. And it's like, no, I don't. And that reminds me, I got to get a lift kit for my truck. And I'm not going crazy with the lift either. Because I know some people get up. Thank you. I know some people are like, you should get like the 12-inch lift. I have no need for that. Get across it. Thank you. I have no need for a 12-inch lift, let alone a 6. I'll probably get like a 3 or a 4. I just don't have any need for, like... It's like, well, what do I need a 12-inch lift for? But, still. Oh, by the way, this car is all-wheel drive, so that is a plus. For those of y'all wondering, what color do I have this? I couldn't tell you. It just came like that from the casino, but I actually like it, so I'm going to keep it that way. Kind of looks like a deep cranberry. Yeah, that's what I should call this, the cranberry car. But yeah, I got a couple of cars that I use strictly for racing purposes, this being one of them. The other one is the XO, which that's a Pegassi. I'm still debating if I want to do a Pegassi collection. Because I know some people do, I don't. Nor do I care for it. Like, I only have one, and that's because I wanted it. I have that in the Ignis. You know why? Because I wanted it. Like I said, no one's sticking a gun to your head forcing you to buy it. But, if you do get a casino podium car, then by all means, keep it. And I will say this. It will book. It would absolutely book down a dirt road. That's what I was doing before I actually decided, to actually get serious and review it. But whenever I did the Nero review, for some reason the audio never picked up. So I kind of had to dub over it, Granted, that happened. It's like, I'm not buying a Nero. Nor can I go back and redo it. So, here we are with this. And it will climb hills. Most of these cars will climb medium to light hills with no issues. As for the more gnarlier stuff, I would not recommend it. But you will see me and Slade take some of these cars up Mount Chiliad in the future. But, we do have to get our movie act together. Oh, yeah, by the way, little hint, we're bringing it back. And for those of y'all wondering, the OGs know what I'm talking about. When I say I'm bringing that back, it's like, are you talking about the free? Yes. Our own free. Well, it was kind of like a podcast type deal. Me, Slade, and Logan had a free podcast we put out about once a month. So that's coming back, but under a new name. And for those of y'all wondering, do I have the originals? Yes, I think I still have those, along with the Dual Joyride 2 bloopers. So, such as it is. My final thoughts about this particular car. Well, great acceleration, great handling, great brakes. Customization-wise, the customization is very on point. So that's something to look forward to if you actually get this car for free. And by free, I mean you get the Nero for free. But, if you want it to be the custom Benny's variant, you do have to take it through Benny's, which that will cost you around $6,600K. It's like $660,000 at Benny's, as far as I know of. But, Rockstar does tend to, mark stuff down on occasion. So, if you happen to get one of these, and, the Benny stuff is marked down, then by all means, do grab one. But only if you want to. I'm not here to tell you should be buying X, Y, and Z. Make an educated guess before you buy any of these cars. But other than that, we are going to go ahead and jump to the final Truffade of this series. So, let's jump into it. So, here I am with the final part of the review for the Truffade cars, which we have the Truffade Thrax, which is a Bugatti. As for the model, it slipped my mind. But, yeah, that's what it is. We all know they're all some type of Bugatti sports cars at that. This actually came out during the casino update, whenever that got released. Actually, it was the very first car to go on the podium, which I tried forever to get, but just couldn't get it, and I'm like, forget it. And I was doing that casino wheel glitch, which that wasn't easy in and of itself. That glitch was not easy to do, but it goes across the water just fine. Now, as for climbing up stuff, well, it's like every other supercar in this game. It's ridiculously powerful. But are there other vehicles out there that are stronger faster than this one? Yes, I happen to have the Ignis and the XO, which, both of them are Pegassi. And they're actually very fast. This one was fast enough. Like, if you knew what you were doing, you could win races with this. But I remember, as Slade called it, he said it was an Adder 2.0. But I'll say this, the Adder was the most scariest thing in online at one point. And by scary, I mean you are going to remember it. You are definitely going to remember a chromed out Adder with a sticky bomb coming to chase you down. Which, there was some low level chasing me around in a supercar the other day. I was playing around with a tow truck trying to get a car, and here he comes trying to blow my stuff up. But you can actually shoot the sticky bombs in their hand, which that's been proven time and time again. And it does go up over nice and everything, as I tried not to roll it, but, still. It wouldn't be one of my videos if I didn't at least roll a car once. Get cursed by Fred Durst. Could I jump across this? Theoretically, no. That's what I want to do. I'm going to go around. Because, got to play it smart. So, yes. Oh, yeah, I will say this. Celebrity Solutions Agency. You want to fill up your safe quicker? Do the missions. If you get over 100, then it gets 10 grand. But I want to say if you get to 200, it goes up. So I think it's like multiples of 10, it goes up by 1,000. At least that's what I'm reading off of it. I could be wrong. But, such as it is. But yeah. Supercars have come a long way since I was playing GTA last time, which was back in 2018, 2019. Somewhere in that time period. I lost track of time around there and, kind of went crazy. But, that's beside the point. So there's that. But yeah, I am going to have a bunch of special videos dropping soon enough. But like many supercars, they all make halfway decent rally cars. Well, there is that one that it's the Ferrari car. It looks like the old F40s from back in the 90s. That one actually is that one, they actually did rally race one of those at one point. But that's beside the point. Hills, not a problem. Medium hills, light hills, definitely not a problem. But, just to prove a point, I will head over to Mount Chiliad, to prove more points, and, such as it is. I still got more off-road vehicles to review, but, most of it's collections, because I just don't have the energy to sit here and record individual stuff and then just upload it, because, I want to do more content, so I'm trying to free up the space. If you see me do an individual one, that's because, A, I wanted to do one, and also because there was really nothing else going for it. So, there's that. That's the one thing about it. You can have really good control with this on dirt roads. And it's got the brakes for it to, handle. It's got the brakes. That's what I've noticed. It's got the brakes for it. But I've been listening to a lot of different music as of late, but I'm not going to get into that. That's the one thing I love about this particular Truffade. Is that it can, it can get down dirt roads just fine. But here's where we need to really prove some nitty gritty. I'm going to find a nice steep point. I know exactly where I need to get to. I know exactly where I need to get to in order to prove a point. No trains are coming. There she is. The steepest part of Mount Chiliad. But yeah, you can pretty much climb up mountains with one of these. Or anything for that matter. Well, of course, so I assume you can get up mountains. It's a supercar. See, just look at it. Ooh, what the? Ooh, no, that was a bad lag spike. Not exactly a good lag spike for that matter. I might have messed up. Okay, yeah, I definitely messed up. Okay, I know exactly where I messed up at. It was hitting that rock. But, I better take it easy going up or else I might just end up, being all loosey-goosey and I go rolling down the mountain. Yep, I'm going to stop it right here. Just stop. Yeah, let's just stop right here before we make more of a mess. Please stop. Stop moving. Stop. In the name of all that is holy, please stop. In the name of the Father, Son... and the Holy Spirit, stop. Thank you. Whew! I'm not going to dare try to attempt this any further. Let's just stop right here before, a mess happens and I end up like Goofy. Oh, what was my character listening to? I'm putting it on Rakim. But, you can't hear the music. Sometimes I'll cut the music up just loud enough to where I can hear it, you might be able to hear it, or I just cut it off completely. But, turn it up just a little bit so the algorithm doesn't pick it up. So, other than that, I'll be seeing y'all around for the next off-road review collection. And as always, do shoot the like button with a grip skittle if you enjoyed, and please do comment down below your favorite Truffade vehicle in GTA. My personal favorite, it's the Nero. Definitely the Nero. I'm gonna keep this one too because I went through all the trouble just to get one of these because I wanted one back on the PS4, but now that I got it, such as it is. And as always, do share these videos around because it helps my channel grow immensely. Same as liking the video, it helps me out. And commenting also helps. Likes, comments, and shares help me out greatly. And so does the views. So, as always, be sure to smash the subscribe button today and click the notification bell icon to stay up to date whenever I upload videos. Because I upload stuff like this and shorts. I'm trying to live stream, but I'm getting the kinks worked out of it. So, other than that, y'all have a great day and a ballin' weekend. Don't do anything stupid, such as driving supercars up Mount Chiliad. As you can see, I almost got myself in deep trouble. So, other than that, y'all take care.